Hi, Jenny, and welcome to Entrepreneurcast. It's such a great pleasure to have you with us today.
Oh, thank you. I'm really, really excited to be with you today as well, and your viewers and listeners.
Me too. Jenny, before we get going with the business side of things, tell us a little bit about who are you outside of your business and what do you enjoy doing in your spare time?
So I am a strange mixture of opposites. I love a green smoothie and I like a glass of wine. I love to dance, and I am an old school raver. A few people have begun to know this. So this weekend, for example, I spent a really nice time. I live really close to Greenwich Park, so really lovely time. I absolutely adore Greenwich Park, the flower garden, love nature, but love the buzz of the city and the vibe of people as well. So this weekend in particular, I've spent a lot of time walking through the park, but also time with my man, lovely man, celebrating his birthday. So that's been cool as well. It's been really cool.
Nice. So, Jenny, your business. What is your business? What is it that you do? Tell us about that. And what inspired you to start it in the first place?
Okay, so the truth of the matter is, my business, I actually started it in 2010. And if you'd asked me back in 2010 what I did, I would literally go, on the one hand, there's training and coaching, and on the other hand, I make cakes and chocolates, which most people kind of got and thought, oh, that's unusual. That makes you memorable. But the truth of the matter was that in 2010, after over a decade of wanting to start my own business, I was like many business people that are good at the thing they do, but was worried about the semantics of running a business, like tax and all of that kind of stuff, business structures, business models. So when I started, my background was in training, corporate training. I was in training management, quite senior training management. And one of the things that I found, having worked in financial services, was that financial services can be a pretty dry subject to train out. So, from whether it was the board or whether it was, sales consultants, I needed to train people across the board on how to be more effective in the sales side of financial services. First of all, mortgages, and then I went on to insurance, sexy insurance. But one of the things that used to be a bug, there's a lot of what I used to call sheep dip training in that environment. So people would be made and told they had to go on these training courses, busy sales managers and people who had like not enough hours in the day to do things. And one of the things I quickly identified was that training, when you're forced into training, especially in a subject that can be as dry as financial services, could be really boring as hell. So I made up my mind, even back then, that anyone that sat in front of me in a training room or any trainer that I brought in externally, I would want people to have this element of surprise of, oh, that was actually better than I thought it would be. So the reason why that's relevant is I spent a lot of time observing how to make training stick, how to make it useful, and how people could pick it up and do something with it straight away. So when I started the business, I was just like, I can help to teach anybody to teach anything, to train anything out. I really could. And my business started, if I'm honest, because I had this desire to train and to coach people, and I guess to mentor people, although it didn't start that way. But I was also worried about like whether I could make it pay. So did the cakes and the chocolates. And one of my backstories is that when I left school, I went to catering college. I'm a qualified chef, and although it's not something, I dip in and out of it, it was something that I just kind of had in my back pocket for just in case. And who doesn't need a special occasion cake on a birthday or a wedding or a christening? So that was my business model. So how I actually got into the business is slightly unusual. Then fast forward from 2010 onwards, in 2012, I decided to drop the cakes and chocolate side when I was making a lovely £85 cake and had to turn down a corporate training gig of I think it was £1,200 a day they were offering to pay me. Then I thought, hold on a second, this is not the best of business models to use. I think I need to choose, and I've had enough kind of training and coaching clients to be able to move forward. But the interesting thing was I still went with the I'll train out anything, and I was good at it. I had one of those slaps around the head from the universe that said, you know what, make up your mind, what do you want to do and what do you not want to do? And there was a very rocky path in between where I discovered what I now call visibility, what I now call helping people to put themselves out there, helping them to stand out. But it wasn't a smooth path. And anybody that tells you that it's a smooth path, you wake up one day and you make that decision, is probably missing out a few sort of, links to the loop.
Incredible. I had no idea that you were working with cakes.
A lot of people don't.
Wow. This is like, I mean, I've known you for so long, and this is the first time I hear about the cakes.
Oh,
Incredible.
Yes. Yeah.
So, Jenny, what would you say your typical day looks like?
I don't think there is such a thing as a typical day. One of the things that I'm really blessed about, which came from, it's like on the day we're recording this, it's a sunny day in London, on usually winter sunny day. But one of the things that I used to crave the most when I worked corporately, sat in an office and seeing the sun come out, was that I wanted to have a job that if I wanted to go and sit out in the sun, I could do. If I wanted to, travel, and a lot of the time as a senior manager, I travelled between 5 different sites in the UK, so I worked nationally in the UK. And to some extent, I've always worked along sales teams. So travel and working was actually like ingrained in me before I started this business. So one of my days could be, I'll give you a slice of my typical days. So I structure my day so that I do a lot of my private sort of training calls and private coaching calls with my clients on a Monday. I like to segment my week out, which is an important part of being visible, believe it or not. So a typical day could be like on a Monday, I broadcast a Monday motivation at 7 a.m. through Facebook Live every single Monday out to Facebook. So it means I need to get up quite a bit before so I don't kind of stagger there all sleepily. So I will do a Facebook Live and I'll motivate people's Mondays. I love doing that. And then another time could be that I'm literally sat by my phone and my notebook back to back having private calls with private clients until I stop for lunch and go and do something else. On other days, I could be out in the city. I have a number of high-end clients, sounding board clients, who I actually go and see. We sit together. And then there are times that I can walk over to Greenwich Park and I can make videos in Greenwich Park. Times when I can say, you know what, I've got too much to do. I'm in danger of being overwhelmed. Stop everything. So I'm really, really privileged to do that. So I don't have an average day per se. I can kind of pick my day and go. And I'm privileged and have tested out that I can literally work from anywhere in the world. And I have done. I've worked in airport lounges, I've worked in some very strange places, but I can work anywhere in the world. So my day really involves me either connecting with people, engaging with people, but it's normally people-centric. And then, the sort of stuff that we sometimes have to do, there's certain administrative tasks where only you can do it, putting the bare bones of a sales page together, or it could be looking at how I reposition what I do within my online group or something like that. So it's very varied, full of variety, and I adore it. I absolutely adore it.
So it's mainly variety, but you always do the Facebook Live 7 o'clock on Monday morning.
Always 7 o'clock on Monday morning. And at this moment in time, I do a minimum of 9 Facebook Lives a week. Wow. That schedule will change, but a minimum of 5 Facebook Lives, 9 Facebook Lives a week.
Incredible. That's a lot of Facebook Lives. So, Jenny, throughout our entrepreneurial and business journey, we come across a lot of challenges. What would you say was your greatest challenge, and how did you manage to overcome it?
Okay, there's a couple of challenges which I think people will be familiar with. There's one where you're in a business, especially service-based business. So those of you who are watching or listening to this and you are doing something that you absolutely love, how do you provide a service to somebody when you're providing something that can't be seen? How do you almost, a lot of my clients say, how do you persuade people to buy from you? And it's not about persuasion. So some of the biggest challenges that I've faced is being able to get out there to more people, which is now ironic because that's exactly what I help people do. And then the other thing that I see in a business that not a lot of people talk about that saddens me is the whole cash flow piece. You know, when I was an employee, on the dot of a certain day every month, I knew that my salary would come in, and the only time it would change was if it was on a Saturday or a Sunday or something like that. But one of the things that I definitely see is the challenge of cash flow. And oh my gosh, on that piece alone, honestly, Svietlana, we could do a whole program on that cash flow piece. You know, what burns me, what I've discovered, what I don't do anymore, what I recommend other people to do. But I'll keep it short and sweet. So one of the ways in which I discovered helps to create a consistent cash flow is to create consistent behaviours on the other side. It's interesting, we can get bogged down in business, we can get bogged down on admin. I had to learn when to stop doing my admin, when to almost outsource it or pass it on to somebody else. But the consistency that you have up front, especially if you are talking about your services, engaging with your audience and creating consistent invitations and offers, will help to stop that kind of sludge on cash flow. It's something that a lot of people go through and a lot of people feel shame around, which is sad. And sometimes there are glaringly obvious things that we do or don't do that gets us into there. So the antidote for the overcoming the cash flow piece, in a nutshell, is consistent behaviour up front in your business. The other, I guess, the getting more clients piece is sometimes as entrepreneurs, especially the entrepreneurial mindset, will have us be a bit like, yay, we're free from an office, yay, we're free from a boss, we don't have to do this, that and the other. And sometimes, and I use this expression a lot, you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. And if you don't do that, you end up inadvertently becoming complacent, attracting the wrong types of clients. And one of the things that I don't know if any of your other guests have mentioned, once you have sorted out your ideal client, that never finishes. Your work evolves, you evolve, your clients evolve. There's always this piece just to keep on top of looking at who you love working with, who gets value from you, and just to keep reassessing that. And that, I would say, is the antidote to overcoming the whole, oh my gosh, how do I work with more ideal clients?
That's the challenge side of things. But what would you say on the bright side of things? What would you say was your greatest success within your business?
Oh my gosh. I have to say, sometimes I have to pinch myself. I feel like I've had so many. So something that sort of springs out, to mind is I make no secret that I've worked with some fantastic mentors, one of which, a woman that I absolutely adore, from the soles of her feet to the top of her head, is Lisa Sasevich. I was privileged enough to work with Lisa Sasevich and be part of her mastermind 2013 going into 2014. And one of the success stories, there's a whole story behind it, but basically one of the success stories there was before I started working with her. I went over to America, I went to one of her 3-day events, and I really loved what she shared. I loved how she shared it. And I remember speaking to her at one of the galas that they did in the evening, or galas, as they say over there. And I remember saying to her, I'm going to come back and join your mastermind in 6 months' time. And I'm going to stand on your stage and be one of your success stories. Now, I'm not sure how many times before she must have heard this. And she's lovely, absolutely phenomenal woman, smiled very sweetly and said, okay, that'll be great. 6 months later, I went back, I joined the mastermind, and that was in the October. In the January, I was stood in front of 160 of my other mastermind members, telling them about how I'd had my first ever 5-figure month in my business. And it's one of those moments where you're explaining something and thinking, am I talking about me, And the reason that I say that is because really I am ordinary. I'm as ordinary as anybody watching or listening to this. I come from very humble beginnings. Nobody in my family ever had a business, and nobody in my family had ever done that. So if I could do it, then absolutely anyone can. Obviously, there's a lot of work behind it, but it was one of the biggest pinch me moments. But it didn't end there. A few months later, at one of her Speak to Sell conferences, she wanted some moments of inspiration. The way she chooses the people to go on the stage is actually quite interesting. She does it from a very grounded place. She doesn't like look and say, right, who on my campus am I going to choose? She goes through a process called active imagination journaling. So she sat there with her journal, you know, in a quiet place and said, you know, who should I have serve me on the stage? And my name came up. So the extra highlight was then going back, speaking to a live audience in Las Vegas of over 500 people, about 200 people watching through the live stream. And for me, it's not about, oh, I've made the money, or, oh, I've got this big audience. It was something that's so close to my heart. It's the opportunity to spread the ripple effect, to know that just one person listening to what I had to say, it would make a difference in their lives, and then the lives of others, and the lives of others. So I felt so honoured to do that. That's just one that kind of springs to mind straight away, that, you know, I'll dine out on that for years to come, I think, because I love it. I love it.
So Jenny, you already mentioned Lisa, but do you have any other like personal heroes or people that inspire you?
Oh gosh, do you know what? I have so many people that inspire me. You know, Lisa Nichols is well known from The Secret. I find her extremely inspirational, really, really inspirational. But I'm going to be honest with you. I've had this feeling, which is why I kind of transitioned from the I train anybody to train anything to the whole visibility stuff and helping people to put themselves out there and to stand out. I just have this feeling in my gut, and I don't know if anyone listening to these words can resonate with, you know, that you're like put here to do something really special. Sometimes you don't know what it is, but you've just got this feeling. So you do whatever you can do just to kind of get your stuff out there in the world. The people who inspire me the most, I'm going to say, are like a lot of the clients that I've worked with, but I've got this online community, which I affectionately call the Visibility Vibers. These are people, they're ordinary, but at the same time extraordinary. They have so many beautiful gifts to share in the world. They are so like, they're so inspiring, each individual person, so unique. They might not be known worldwide for being or doing something, but for me, they are the most inspiring people, you know, because they're just, it's almost like they don't recognize their own talent, their own greatness. And I think a part of that shows them to be really, really inspirational, really, really inspiring. So I have to say, they inspire me every day. They inspire me every day. Those are my inspirational people. I don't know if that's cheating. There's lots of other very well-known that I could kind of like list off because they've touched me individually in some way, and I'm happy to do that if you'd like me to as well.
Sure. Well, I heard from a lot of actually interviews that I've done. People say that's the people that inspire them the most are their clients. So I think that's quite similar what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So people in your network is yeah, it's quite interesting how, you know, it kind of matches up from different people who talk. It's very similar.
It's true. I mean, one of the things, like in terms of people that inspire me, it's almost like if you can connect with another human being in some way. So Tony Robbins, he's so inspiring. I've done the fire walk, you know, and all of that with him. But I remember through a particularly difficult period of my life where I'd gone through quite a personal bereavement, and I'd watched a Tony Robbins video about a woman who had lost her 16-year-old daughter, and somehow what he was saying to her, he was saying to me. I was so inspired by this. I remember tweeting and saying, this video, Tony Robbins, you know, and tagged him in it, off the charts. And like 15 minutes later, I get this tweet saying, oh my gosh, were you there? From Tony Robbins, you know? it's like how many millions and thousands of people like quote him as the guru, the person to go to. And it's the fact that he took time to respond to that tweet, you know, not from an ego place. So it's people that connect in that. And I have a similar story with Jamie Smart, actually, as well. So Jamie Smart was formerly known a lot for his work within NLP. And then he really got into the 3 principles training, kind of like being great from the inside out. He'd be a great person to sit in this chair, definitely. And I remember I had bought one of his happiness cards, a deck of his happiness cards, at a similar time, actually. And I tweeted and let him know how great they were. And that I was going through this bereavement. Again, he didn't know me from Adam. He sent me a private message and said, you know, hey, what's going on? You know, is everything okay? And I briefly told him, and he sent me an article with somebody that had gone through a similar sort of thing that I had done. And I just think people that take the time out to do that, to me, there's like a connection that you form. And the irony was that even though we then kind of became connected online, we didn't actually meet in the flesh until 3 years later, 3 years after that, and actually got a picture kind of smiling and, you know, in the same room, in the same place together. But I think when people reach out and connect, it makes such a difference. So if I would share one piece just on what I've said there, I would definitely say, if you are running a business, you don't think you're quite where you want to be, think about the person that you need to be. Think about the person that you want to be. If you want to help charities, start helping them now. If you want to be inspirational, start being inspirational now. I don't think you have to wait until the elusive kind of money comes in to start that path. And those are the sorts of people that I really just like, I love, because they're so genuine and they connect with people on all levels, you know.
Thank you for sharing that. You just kind of mentioned something that was actually very important to me, so we'll talk about it after. So Jenny, just for fun, really, I got a question. Where do you come up with your best ideas?
Oh my gosh. I think this is going to be a really predictable answer. Sorry if this is too much information, but in the shower, I keep saying that I want to invent something like that you can write in the shower, like stick it up on the wall and write. Apparently in a very well-known children's store, there is something. I think a lot of my best ideas, I come up in the shower. I think because I've switched on. But also, I think that's why I like Greenwich Park. Greenwich Park and its beauty and its nature and its trees, watching the squirrels running around. They've got like, you know, reindeer there and like deer. You know, they've got all these different kind of natural environment. It allows you to switch off sufficiently to make space for things to come in. But then the other secret, if you want a catalyst of how I can be more creative and get my creative ideas, give me a whiteboard and a whiteboard marker and give me a whole stack of post-it notes and I can like dominate the world. I get really creative there. Post-it notes and a whiteboard marker.
Brilliant. Jenny, you've been in a business for a very long time. 7 years, right? 7 years. That's quite a long time. So I know you gained a lot of experience and wisdom. So out of your experience and wisdom in the world of business, what would be your top 3 tips and strategies for the listener today?
Well, one, I have to say I'm going to be biased because I work with it and I see it all the time. So this whole thing about being visible, top tip is whether you're starting in business, whether you've been in business for a long time and you're changing up what you do, or whether you're just like you've been in business for a long time and you're looking to get sort of, you know, stratospheric, always be visible, always be seen. It doesn't matter if your preferred style of method is face-to-face networking. It doesn't matter if it's speaking from a stage and inspiring people in that way. It doesn't matter if it's webinar or online. It doesn't matter if you're a writer or an author, an artist. One of the things that people forget to do is to consistently be visible. So I have a lot of people that come to me and they say, I'm just going to get my branding done and I'm going to get my website done. And once that's done, then I'm going to start putting myself out there. And what happens is they do all of these things in the background. They forget to be visible They're totally invisible. And then it's like, my website and my branding's done. Ta-da! Oh, where is everyone? Or they get their branding done, they get their website done, then they push water uphill and eventually they get out there and they're more visible and realize that their branding doesn't speak to the person that they are. And it's interesting because right at this moment in time, I'm transitioning from one website to another. So I'm kind of in this hanging space, but I know who I am. I know what my people want. So it makes it easier for me to do the work to get that moving forward. So the first thing I see is people being invisible, inadvertently being invisible while they're busy doing something else. Wrong way around. Don't do it that way. Second thing that I would say is, I would say trust your gut. I hear so many stories of people saying, oh, I did this piece of work, or I worked with this person. I just didn't, I don't know, there was something about it at the start, but I went through it anyway. And although, you know, there's linear parts of business and like the discernment part that's really important, the next piece is that, yes, you can allow for creativity and everything else, but all in balance. All in balance. So the amount of times where people deem that they've made a mistake, which I kind of don't believe in, but they're lessons, they deem that they've made a mistake. And by making that mistake, when they kind of like reflect back on what happened, it's like a part of them knew, a part of them suspected. So I just kind of, my next tip is trust yourself, really trust yourself, trust your gut. And if you don't have a mastermind of people, and I'm not talking about close members of family, though we love them, we don't always choose our family, but a close like member of people with a common goal that have got the same interests as you, that when you say, I want to make my first million, they're all like fist pumping and cheering you on, and they totally get it. Because what happens with the family dynamics is, of course, that people around you, they love you, they want to protect you, and then they want to say, oh, I think that's too big a dream, I think you're going to set yourself up for something. They love you, but they might not get the journey that you're on. So have them there to love you and have people that you can definitely connect with. And then I guess the kind of final tip comes in three parts, and this is about one of the things that I see people do, and I see it more on social media. They do it badly because no one really teaches you how to connect with people. Know that when you're connecting with people online or offline, there's three key things you need to do. Number one, you really need to acknowledge the person. So acknowledge them for where they are. Offline, where you see it is, I don't know if you've been to a networking event where you see somebody standing waiting to speak to somebody, and they're not acknowledged in any way. It's not even a, sorry, I won't keep you a second, I've just got a few people, or I'm just going to finish this conversation, or I'll come and find you. They're just ignored, and I really detest that. And that's where I see people doing that live. Online, sometimes, you know, they'll maybe put a comment out, and a like isn't just about an ego boost or popularity. A like is acknowledging that you've seen that person. A response to them is acknowledging that you know where they are. So another way you might acknowledge them is by letting them know that you understand where they are. And then there's a connection piece, and it's ironic because we connected first. You know, people might think, oh, well, this is a, you know, this is a business thing, but actually we connected on quite a cool level. And whatever happened between the time that we connected and now happened because we naturally connected. We didn't do it for you know, a specific reason. We just connected. So many people miss the boat. They don't connect with people. Totally possible to do it online if you've never met someone in the flesh as well, by the way. And then the next thing is to engage people. And again, a lot of businesses, they might say, well, I've got a bricks and mortar business, or I sell pens, or I sell phones. You can still engage with your clients in the most unusual and unique ways, not through trying to create them, but just by being you and connecting with those people and engaging with those people. So always look to acknowledge, always look to connect with, and always look to engage with your audience. That third tip was a 3-in-1, but it's so important. So important.
That's a lot of tips. Thank you very much for sharing with us, Jenny. I appreciate it. And did you come throughout your journey towards any kind of resources that you could share with us as well that made your life and business kind of less complicated in a way, or, you know, helped you in any way?
Well, there are lots. There are lots. So one of the things that I will share, and people don't always get this. I hear a lot of people say, for example, around meditation, oh, I can't meditate, I can't switch my mind off. Jenny Kovacs' way of meditation isn't about having a silent mind and not thinking about anything. It's just getting to a place where you settle within yourself. Now, the reason for me that this is like one of my biggest tips, it seems completely like, you know, nothing to do with business, is if you meditate, and I would always recommend first thing in the morning. If you don't have time to meditate, do what I did. If I was going to listen to a 20-minute meditation audio, then I got up 20 minutes earlier. And to be fair, when you're half asleep and half awake, it's a perfect time to meditate and to get started. And then you get into a place where you actually want to feel more awake and then meditate. You find a soft spot to land within yourself. You don't know what the day is going to throw at you. You don't know what is going to be faced. And I think by starting the day in that way really allows you to be able to almost like connect and handle things in a way in which you might not have done. Yes, you might be human and fly off the handle about something or get concerned about something, but when you've got a solid meditation practice, and as I say, you know, you can meditate for as little as 10 minutes a day if that's the only time you've got, or you can spend a couple of hours, totally up to you. But it does something where it settles you from the inside, and it just means that you can take whatever life throws at you. Because you've been in that quiet place at some stage in your morning, you can then choose, this is either going to stress me out or I'm just going to go back in and resettle. I would say it's one of the biggest things, like the biggest secrets that no one ever told you about running a business.
Well, thank you for sharing that as well. Jenny, I come across a lot of people who say that at some point in life, they came across a book that changed their life. Did you have such a book?
Right here. Now, people are going to say, oh my gosh, you know, meditation and everything else. This book, a book by Edwin Gaines called The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity. She talks about 4 laws. Interesting enough, Lisa Sasevich introduced this book to me and us. It's something that she lives her life by. And it talks about tithing being one of the laws. And it's interesting because if everyone's had a religious background, they'll know that tithing means when you go to church and you put 10% of what you earn into a bucket. But Edwin Gaines talks about tithing people, places, or things that provide you with spiritual food. So one time I remember getting on the train into London, absolutely packed. You know, this guy moved his stuff out the seat, smiled at me. I was able to sit down. I wanted to tithe him, and there's another long story which we won't go into now, but I wanted to tithe him for that. So I gave him a tenth of some income that had come in so that he could just like buy a coffee. He didn't accept it, and I got a really deep lesson in not accepting that. He wasn't offended, but this whole thing about tithing, it helps you to, it's like a stage up from gratitude. It helps you to not only see the good in other people, but it also helps you to start looking for the opportunities to learn yourself, you know, what provides you with really great food. Life-changing book, I read it in like a couple of days, literally, and it changed my life. And many of my clients, I'll buy them this book, and I think I'm always talking about this book is just one of many. Great book, great book.
Awesome. Jenny, I mean, you've been pretty successful, you know, in business and life. You know, you're doing what you love. You're visible. You're out there. You know, you work with some incredible people. But what is next for you? What's your next big goal, dream, aim? And if there is somebody listening today who could potentially help you get there, who would it be?
Oh gosh, that's a massive question. That's a great question. So the next thing for me, it might not sound very important, but in the rise of what's happened in the last kind of like, you know, last year or so, we've had the whole thing with Trump, we've had the whole thing with Brexit. And what I'm feeling isn't it isn't about the anger of what's coming out of that. It's it's people not feeling that they can own their voice, and that makes me really quite sad. I want to help people to really step in and own their voice, not be afraid to speak up and talk about what they're thinking about, how they're feeling, and to be able to empower the people around them in an empowering way, not in a ranty way, because you see a lot of that as well. That, although that doesn't sound big, I'd like to affect a lot of people doing it. I'd like people that are even in business, for example, that, you know, maybe they are a stay-at-home mum or dad, and they don't even think they have a voice in or something to say in this place. I'd love to help those people. I call them real speakers. Find real speakers in their real voice, in their real way. So that's my next big thing. Who would I like to help me do that? I honestly don't know. I think it's interesting because there's a few people kind of stateside that I think about, and a few people that are UK based. When I have a huge intention, I don't like to call it like, oh my gosh, this is a big intention or a small intention. It's an intention, it's a desire. So I kind of like want to put it out there and start really noticing who's around, who can, you know, who'd be able to help. There's a lady that works in America that I know kind of gets this. She's never said it in this way, but I know she gets this. A lady called Suzanne Evans. I know that she really gets this whole thing about being able to speak out. But I actually feel, because my mission feels worldwide, I actually feel like there are people both in the US, in the UK, and in various spots around the world that will help me. And I feel like it'll be more of a collaborative thing. The day of the business celebrity, I think, is not coming to an end, but there are people out there with important voices, important messages, and they're not necessarily known. So I feel like some of those will be on the journey.
Sounds good to me. Uh, Jenny, we are coming to the end of the show, but before we say our goodbyes, is there anything else you would like to share with us today or advise on something?
I would say I have this philosophy about visibility. Visibility and getting yourself out there in the world has been made far, far too complicated. So whether you're sitting there and looking at a place of, you know, I need to market myself, I need to put myself out there, I need to get my products and services out there, or I just need to be brave and, you know, get out there in the world. I'd like to invite anyone who's watching or listening to this just to go over to Facebook. Go over to Facebook and search for me, the Queen of Being Seen. And there I give free tips, free nuggets. There are a load of like a back catalogue of videos that people can click on and watch for free. And if you'd like to come and sort of join me live, by all means come and say hello. On these, I show you how easy visibility can be. And it's enough to kind of get you back out there, get you started if you've been a bit quiet for a while. So that's what I would like to share. I'd like to invite you just to come over, have a look for Jenny Kovacs, the Queen of Being Seen, and you can Google it and you'll find me. And come over and just start to watch some of those that you can take action on and do stuff immediately. The reason that it's important to me isn't that you come and find me. The reason it's important is because my philosophy in life is I really want you to be seen. I want you to be really heard in your true voice, and I want visibility for you so that people can find you and know that you're the person to speak to about the thing that you do, or go to you for the thing that you do. The reason I'm the Queen of Being Seen is because it's you, it's your visibility that matters, and I'm really passionate about that. So come and find me, come and say hello, come and ask me your questions. I'm waiting to see you shine.
It is the best way of getting in touch through Facebook, or are there any other ways of getting in touch with you?
There are other ways. Sometimes people want to sort of connect with me a bit more privately. I've got a Facebook group, as I've mentioned, but I'm sure you'll find that in good time. Or the other thing is, if somebody wants to contact me, you know, personally, if you email me at question@gift-wish.co.uk. You can go to my website, but as I mentioned, it is in transition. So if you want to get in contact with me, send me an email to question@gift-wish.co.uk. Find me online. And yeah, I can't wait to speak to you and help you shine.
Amazing. Thank you so much for making time to come on the show today, Jenny. It's been incredible seeing you again. And thank you for all the tips. It's been really a great pleasure again. I look forward to seeing you again soon in person.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for having me, everyone. And just get out there. Time's now. Don't wait. People are looking for you.